Thank you. Uh, Thank you everyone for joining here. So, whenever we say agripreneurs today, we often imagine a startup founder or some sort of an agri-tech platform. But this session asks us to look elsewhere at the farmer who manages risk, capital, production, labor, markets, and uncertainty every season. At the village level, agri entrepreneurs providing services to these farmer families, at the FPOs, which are farmer collectives, at the cooperatives, which have been very prominent in our country for a long time, or SHG federations trying to build a farmer owned business. So, are farmers merely producers in someone else's value chain, or are they the original entrepreneurs of agriculture? And so, for discussing this, we have three authorities in the space. And I would also like to mention Dr. Sudhir Kumar Goyal, who is also here in this session as another authority in the PPP space. Uh, so, before I go ahead, um, I just want to pose a small question. How do we recognize farmers not only as producer, but as planners, risk managers, financiers, aggregators, and marketers? Right. And we have Suribani sir, who has a long stint of career in agriculture, having taken a leadership position at TechnoServe and now taking a prominent role in Forum of Enterprises for Equitable Development as a managing trustee, trying to build the narrative towards how to bring the marginal farmers in the whole discourse, who are like almost two-thirds of our country, two-thirds of the farming population. Then we have uh, Rajendra Jogji, who has also a long stint in agriculture and not-for-profit space. He has led from front AEGF Foundation. He has been part of the Syngenta family for long, and he is still directing the Syngenta Foundation as well as AEGF from front. And he would definitely come later and talk about how 16,000 entrepreneurs have been trained and have been involved in. And now we have Ashutosh Deshpande, who is currently working with Reliance Foundation as a lead, and he has been extensively working on the farmer producer organization space. In fact, Ashutosh is in his earlier Avtara was also a CEO of one FPO, and so he has a very rounded understanding of this whole space. So I would invite Ashutosh for his first few thoughts around the topic.
So thank you, Ankush, for putting me on the spot. Uh, but yeah, I think this is a very important topic that you've taken, and you're right when you say that it's very common to associate when we talk about entrepreneurs. It's very common to associate them with startups over there. But I mean, business is not always about some fancy tech and Series A, Series B funding, but there's a lot of bootstrapping uh, entrepreneurs at the village level. FPOs is one form of that, which is like a more of a collective of farmers, and we have independent village level entrepreneurs. We have a lot of farmer innovators as well. I mean, I remember we have this farmer in Andhra Pradesh in Kurnool who developed a very simple fertilizer dispenser, which saves your fertilizer consumption by 25%. I mean, very relevant in today's time when we are looking at a fertilizer shortage and government saying that you should cut down on fertilizer over there. And it's a very simple technique with costing 700 rupees, and it's become a rage in Kurnool district. It's gone, like Reliance Foundation has helped take it to other districts, other states. So people are kind of re-engineering that for their own requirements. So we have this village farmer innovators is also another category of businessmen, and we kind of very seldom kind of look at these people over there. So I think this is a very important aspect to consider. So yeah, so thank you and happy to be here.
Yeah. Rajendra sir, initial thoughts?
You are muted,
Sir, you
Rajendra
are
ji.
on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ankush. Once again, good afternoon to everyone. It's actually a privilege to be part of this RISE PECO World Summit, a platform that believes the world is fixable. I think that's something struck me. It's a good way to say that through partnership, entrepreneurship, citizenship, and ownership. And the theme for today's discussion, I think real entrepreneurs, farmers as businessmen, is also both very timely and transformative. Because for decades, we viewed farmers only as cultivators or producers. You know. But the future demands that we see them as entrepreneurs, value creators, market players, and business leaders. Because agriculture today is no longer only about growing crops. It is about understanding markets, managing risk, using technology. Ashutosh talked about it, building brands, aggregating value, and creating sustainable rural enterprises. So, to me, the real question is not if or can farmers become businessmen, but the real question is can agribusiness survive if farmers do not become businessmen? So, I think with those initial thoughts, we could I could come back for other
No, very,
or
very important and prominent thought, I would say. Surimani sir, your
Thank
initial.
you. Thank you, Ankush. I'm glad to be here with all of you. And Dr. Goel is here, who has been, yeah, kind of a father figure in the sector. Let me start with because you have spoken about the contours. Let me talk about the agriculture in India is our culture. And from culture to enterprise, there is a shift now happening. If you look at, because you talked about producers and various kind of identities of farmers, producers, traders, agri entrepreneurs, agripreneurs, and but um, it is let us divide into two parts. One, the livelihoods part, and otherwise the enterprise part. All of them are producing, some of them are doing business. And farming as a business, farming as an enterprise, that culture is just taking a shape. And coming to one another dimension at this point is, because you spoke about the focus of the organization that I am now, steering, a marginal farmer. They constitute around 68% of the total agri, farming community. And out of that, we don't recognize the women farmers. They are, going by the definition, they hardly constitute around 13.9, kind of percentage. But growingly, there is a new, kind of trend generation which is being recognized as, you must be hearing about drone didis, kisan didis, so many, kind of agri entrepreneurs, invisible. And there is a need for also recognized. So without agriculture, we can't feed ourselves. The country is right now considered to be self-sufficient, but it needs to go far, far beyond, from production driven to market driven angle, and high value crops, and so much we can discuss further. But agri entrepreneurship, definitely we do recognize, and also within that, women agri entrepreneurs is another dimension. Youth, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll come to Rajendra sir and would want to understand, like, quickly, if you can share how AGF is training these agripreneurs. What's
yeah
the model like,
yeah
how they get selected and how they get
yeah
involved in the process, how you train them towards success?
yeah. Yeah, thanks, Ankush. I mean, happy to share that because uh, basically, the premise was that after 70 odd years of after independence, why our smallholder farmer is in majority of geographies is still earning in the range of 80,000 rupees per annum. You know, And when we tried to find reasons, we realized that there is no dearth of technology, knowledge, know-how in this country, but the last mile delivery is a challenge. Uh, Whether inadequate government extension system or whether we need to do more and attract good people to stay in the village and support smallholder farmers. So with that understanding, we sort of conceptualize this agri-entrepreneurship model. Uh, and after few initial hiccups and uh, iterations, finally we standardized the entire model and SOPs by about 2019 when we actually launched Agri Entrepreneur Growth Foundation to scale up this model. Initial conceptualization was done by Syngenta Foundation, and then Agri Entrepreneurship Foundation actually took over for scaling it up. So what we do is we carefully screen, select, and identify and select unemployed rural youth, 10th pass. Male or female is not a bar. They should have access to smartphone because a lot of information is passed on to digital technology today, and they should be willing to stay back in the village. You know? So that's how we selected, and we had very rigorous testing, written, small, simple, but written test, personal interview, psychometric test, and also a family meet and discussion. So that psychometric test was basically to understand whether this selected candidate who is cut out to become an entrepreneur, because not everybody is cut out to become an entrepreneur. Some of them are happy to do some jobs or their own farming or whatever. And then family meet to understand whether family is supportive of this idea. So once that is done, then we take her to through a 45 days structured training program which covers agronomy of the crops which are predominantly grown in that geography, not all crops on the earth or in the country, but just that geography. And then we have a bit of personality development, finance, business acumen, IT understanding. Those aspects are also covered. And at the end of this course, those who successfully complete attendance as well as marks in the exam, they get a certification from central government. Our course is certified by central government. So that certificate comes from National Institute of Agri Marketing, CCS NIAM. And with that certificate, the entrepreneur, if she wants, she can apply for a fertilizer or seeds license. So that becomes one of the archetype.
So how
And
do we
then,
define the success of the agripreneurs? Like
yes,
when you say like these agripreneurs are becoming successful?
yeah, yeah. So basically, the whole idea of this program is to improve livelihood of smallholder farmers through this model, which is agri-entrepreneur. So agri-entrepreneur will earn by way of commission when he gives services to 150 to 200 farmers in the vicinity, in the geography. They are not supposed to charge the farmers to give advice on agronomy, but they can charge them if they are supplying inputs, if they are helping them connecting with market linkages, if they are producing, putting up a nursery and supplying them seedlings, then they can earn their commission. So that is how they earn the commission. But they are
Right.
required to regularly hold farmer meetings and impart that knowledge. And the successful entrepreneur would be. And just wanted to add one. So in our model, as soon as he starts, he gets trained, we assign an agri entrepreneur mentor who is at least BSc agriculture with some experience, and he handholds a cohort of about 35 such trained entrepreneurs for a period of 2 years, which
Right.
ensures that he starts earning at least 15,000 rupees a month, and also ensuring that farmers are slowly improving their livelihood by 15-20% year on year because of the practices that he imparts and demonstration plots and meetings that he conducts, and he helps them improve their practices. So that's the model. The success basically is if we can elevate or uplift this 150 or 200 farmers along with him, that's the success of the program. Only entrepreneur becoming successful is one part. And by in last 8 years, we have now reached 26,000 entrepreneurs we have created across 14 states in India, and it's ongoing program. I mean, with help of
Right.
so many different partners, we have been able to continue the program in different geographies.
So I would now come to Ashutosh. what have we learned about what works and what does not work in FPOs? Also, uh,
Mhm.
how do we define that? When do you say like this FPO is doing good?
Yeah. Sure. So, Ankush, we as Reliance Foundation, we have nearly 15 years of experience working with FPOs now. So when we started in 2010, FPO was a very critical component of our entire, and FPO, it was not never a standalone intervention, FPO centric intervention, but part of a larger livelihoods climate resilience program over there. Now, there's a few things I think that we did right, I would say, now that we look at hindsight. So one thing that we did was to go against conventional wisdom and not have a CEO in an FPO. So the FPO law kind of says that you should have a CEO. The CEO cannot be one of the members. So it typically has to be a professional CEO, and a lot of programs are designed around that. And we always had the risk that you didn't want to have a CEO capture the FPO over there. So we focused on the board of directors first and said, can we build the capacities of the board of directors? If there is a strong BOD, then the BOD can always later on control the CEO and ensure that there is no elite capture of the institution. I think second thing that we did focus was on bootstrapping. So we again,
Is that whatever they paid, how much they paid, we know.
yeah, I think there's somebody who's speaking.
Oh, it was 3,000, yeah, 2,000 I have to multiply them.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So the second thing was bootstrapping. We resisted the temptation of kind of putting in money into the FPOs, helping them with buying, purchasing assets and everything. Some of our FPOs did set up value addition facilities and processing, but a lot of that was raised from the market. It was raised through like a blended finance, combination of grants through government schemes and through NABARD, through and then say loans through AIF facilities and those things. So I think that just helped them make much stronger business entities because they were basically earning profits and reinvesting back into those things. So I think these are two things that really kind of helped, I would carry as big lessons. But as we evolve in our FPO journey, there are new lessons that we also keep learning. So, for example, governance, especially in larger FPOs, because when you're talking about farmer producer organization, they're essentially democratic institutions, and wherever there is a democracy, there is politics. So as FPO, so when the FPO is small, it's like an all hands on deck situation. So everybody is there to just make the FPO survive and grow. But now when you kind of start hitting turnovers of 10 crores and 15 crores and substantial profit starts flowing in, and then those FPO board of directors become kind of fairly famous in their own villages, and they start becoming influential figures. And that's a new evolving governance challenges that we're facing with some of our FPOs. So yes, those are things we are learning. I think the second thing we are looking at is saying is that we are also our approach to training and capacity building is also evolving and graduating. So we are moving from just classroom trainings, so like it's more like a reshaping of what we used to do earlier, when we had a Reliance Foundation staff closely mentoring and handholding an FPO through all its daily functions, and what we kind of calling it as an apprentice based learning. So it's like you see those traders and businessmen, they don't learn business by going into a classroom and doing an MBA, and then they don't start doing business. They learn from their fathers or elder brothers, and that's how you kind of start learning this thing. So we kind of focusing our own capacity building on a more enabler kind of an approaches, to say that can we actually, beyond the hard skills of marketing and finance and this thing, can we actually focus on the softer skills also, how to pitch a business, how to negotiate prices, how to handle a customer, more importantly, how to handle a disgruntled customer, and not switch off the phone when the customer is happy. So to come to your second question, and I'll kind of stop over here. So, to kind of look at what is a success of an FPO, I think beyond I mean, these are business institutions. Of course, you have audited financial statements. So, whether the turnover is increasing or not, what the bottom line is doing. But I think we need to look at it at two levels of impact, two levels of cascading impact. One is the direct members who are transacting with those farmer collectives. How are they benefiting? Are they making more money vis-a-vis, say, other farmers who are not transacting with FPO and going through the conventional route of APMCs and everything? And the second thing is, what is the impact on the local village economy over there. Because the moment you have an economic activity, a productive activity going on a village, let's say a factory being set up or something like that, there is a lot of cascading impact in terms of employment, in terms of the money in staying more within the village. I mean, there's a LinkedIn post some years back where I read that for an average village, the amount of GST they pay to the government is more than the budget of the village itself. So there's the GST that's the outflow that's happening from the village. So I think, so can an FPO actually do that in terms of create and uplift an entire village economy in terms of, or create an income multiplier effect over there. So I think that's how we would kind of look at the success of the FPO ecosystem as a whole.
Right. Surimani sir, you mentioned once about the registry of these agripreneurs
Yes.
and how it is very important. And also, I think I would like to probably take your inputs on the recognition part, like how the recognition of these entrepreneurs and their access to credit networks and services are so important.
I think this is a very, very important component for which we really advocate, recognizing the agripreneur as an entrepreneur. There should be a registry like the AgriStack process is ongoing. Maybe Rajendra ji has a pool of 26,000 agripreneurs is something unique because they maintain the data. But if you look at the country size, there are plenty of entrepreneurs invisible, no recognition, no stamping that I am an entrepreneur, agri entrepreneur, whichever, basically entrepreneur, then put the agri prefix. That is no kind of database. If I say, and how it will benefit, it will really benefit in many, many ways of segregating them on sector basis. Who are there in apple business? Who are there in mango business? Who are there in paddy business? Who value chains? And then you can see the value and the volume and the transaction. How many of them are actually attached to XY format of producer companies? What are the factors? Then we can look at which are the segments and how these several factors that Ashutosh mentioned about, and you also mentioned about access to credit, access to technology. This same technology may not be applicable for two value chains. So, and access to finance, access to market, logistics, and technology integration, physical infrastructure, warehousing receipts. So, if you look at the number, like for small scale enterprises, there is a registry, but we don't have a registry. If the registry can help, and if even all of us practice FPOs, we talk about FPOs, we don't have a proper database of FPCs and cooperatives and other formats. So that is a major limitation in articulating what is the value that you are adding. We are just going by approximations, some projections. So this will really help. The enumeration or the registry can capture, it can go from, because it can go from the panchayat level also, it can come from the district level, it can come from the state level, and some of the states are in advanced stage of articulating this kind of thing, like AgriStack. You were talking about Uttar Pradesh, like the Didis concept, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, they are like moving very, very fast, and they have the data, but some attempt is required to pull them together, put in the like a platform or a kind of aggregated way that it would look like this, and then the database can help all of us, actors or the ecosystem players, in managing the requirements or addressing the issues, bringing solutions, and thinking futuristically what is likely to happen also.
Exposing
Because
a website that feels so
and hello. There is also a response system from the climatic point of view, because there is, all of us are affected by the climate change factors. And now, we talk of, because of the fertilizer and this other geopolitical situation, we are talking about fertilizer. So what kind of alternative that you can provide in India, we can come out. But there are many, many solutions which can emerge from, if you have a proper database. And I look for such attempt. If your organization or all of us can come together to build that, that will be a great attempt in putting, like a chamber of commerce, like brings together various specific interest groups to fight, project, advocate their cause. And similarly, for agri entrepreneurs, I don't know, Rajendra ji might be doing something, but none of us do.
Right. Um, I think there is, and I would come to the cooperatives part later, Suryamaniji. But for now, I just wanted to ask Rajendra ji about how these connected enterprises are working together. And I see a lot of value in connecting these agripreneurs to
Yeah,
FPOs. And I'm sure you might be trying to do that.
yeah, yeah,
How has been the experience so far?
yeah.
This hub.
Yeah, good question. Because I also see that what is the end point? We often ask this question. We have created an entrepreneur who is neither our employee nor a member of any association officially. He is a part of entrepreneur created by Agri Entrepreneur Growth Foundation. And through these entrepreneurs, we are then connected with about 26 lakh farmers, and for which we have the complete data, almost 60 fields. We collect that data right in the beginning. Now, the question is, after 2, 3 years, we have seen mixed outcome. Some of those who have been with us for last 5 years, we have noted that their last year's turnover has crossed 1 crore. So they must have net earning at least 7, 8 lakhs in a year, which is substantially better than many other smaller entrepreneurs. But after few years, what is the sustainability? Because after 2 years, the funded project supports and our entrepreneur mentors are working with them, and they will pull out. And at that point in time, we tried this, getting about five entrepreneurs means 1000 farmers, and forming a FPO, registering a FPO. And we did about register about 10 such FPOs, 6 of them in Madhya Pradesh. 4 of them were supported by NABARD additionally, and other places we did it ourselves. And our own agri entrepreneur mentor we appointed as a CEO. Now, as long as the CEO was had the entrepreneurial ability, and he was really good and committed to his work, I think that FPO did well. Because both FPO and agri entrepreneur model are both aggregation models. Agri entrepreneur aggregates about 150 to 200 farmers. FPO would aggregate probably 1,000 or more farmers. But and they're combined. So we said, okay, you form a FPO, and other FPOs in the other agri entrepreneurs in that region then get connected to this FPO as a hub and spoke model. So these AEs are still connected with last mile farmers, smallholder farmers, and FPO is doing the business either by providing inputs. He can take the license, start providing quality inputs, start helping them for getting market linkages and trade with larger companies and things like that. But our experience has been mixed. I would say 10 we tried, out of them 6 are doing well. 4 did not do so well, and 2 of them we might actually pull out in next 3 months or so if they don't improve. We have given them some time and with some improvement targets, if that happens. So we need some kind of a ecosystem support in addition to what we can do ourselves, because purely depending upon one CEO without our intervention, as a non-profit we have limitation how much we can intervene and how much we can support. But of course, maybe some organization like Reliance Foundation, we could discuss and see whether there could be a way of taking them ahead. Because yeah, so in short, I would say it's not a complete success. But if it becomes successful, this would be the next logical step. All these entrepreneurs should be then forming FPOs in their respective geographies, and that would become more sustainable future for them.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag. And I remember, with my discussions with Ashutosh, we have been talking about how these farmer collectives should also get collectivized to ensure that some of their own facilities and resources should be shared and used properly. Like
Yeah,
someone having a dal processing unit and someone having another processing unit. It's not used throughout the year. So if they all come together, probably that utilization of those resources might be better. I think Ashutosh also shares that thought, and I think he is also working with Gujpro. Um, what are the challenges, Ashutosh, you see in such collectives where FPOs are coming together and forming a federation, sort of a body and working on through that? Is it like too centralized, or there is not enough push for it? Also, like, uh, what would work to create that kind of a setup?
Yeah. So, Ankush, so one thing I think federations really is the way to go ahead with when you're talking about collectives. In fact, recently the Department of Agriculture had come out with a draft FPO policy. I mean, that's not the FPO policy has not yet been released, but they did open a draft for opinions from multiple people. And federation, FPO federations was a big part of that policy. In fact, I've also had discussions at the level of a fairly senior level at NABARD, and NABARD also is quite keen about federations over there. So yes, I think federations is the way to go. A bit of a challenge with state level federation is that they kind of, state is a large entity and there's a lot of heterogeneity in terms of crops, value chains, and agroclimatic zones over there. So, and it becomes very difficult for federations to be able to accommodate all of them because multiple different regions have like, so for example, a Gujpro, I mean, if I look at Gujarat, South Gujarat is very different from North Gujarat, and Saurashtra is completely different. So, a Gujpro probably kind of is able to look at only a fraction of those kind of commodities and value chains. I think second is I've seen a lot of this federation also struggle financially because unlike say FPOs, some successful FPOs where often they have a strong NGO backing them financially and able to do that. A lot of these federations are very capable, but yeah, they don't have the kind of necessary support ecosystem. So I think that is something, if we were to make a policy pitch, I think that is something that we have to do because federations, so like earlier in our discussion, I was talking about apprentice-based models, training models, and training people, hand-holding people, and federations, very naturally fit into that scheme of things. And say, unlike say a for-profit entity doing that, a FPO federation or a collective federation trying to do that is a win-win because the federation is again made of the same members. So the federation has a natural incentive to pick up and kind of train those people and ensure that its supplier base gets stronger so that it is able to pitch business to that over there. So I think there is a lot of scope for this thing. I think at a policy level and at a funding level, really there is not much available for these federations to tap into beyond whatever their individual connections can do over there. But I think as we go ahead, maybe look at FPOs from a more critical lens and say maybe focus on the few that are really doing successfully over there, then federations and then grow large enough to encompass larger geographies and larger communities, then federations automatically start playing a big role. Second element, and I'll end over here, is that just like state federation, maybe we should also start looking at regional and district level federations where there is much more crop homogeneity and much more agroclimatic homogeneity, so that you have a tighter bargaining blocks over there. So at Reliance Foundation, we had some good experiences in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, and in Odisha, where one FPO took the lead, and then there are around 10, 12 FPOs. We started this concept of FPO network meetings where we had monthly FPO network meetings of 10 FPOs, 12 FPOs in that district coming together, initially just sharing what are the challenges and everything, but slowly started becoming like very big entities where now even large corporates like corporates now actually come to those network meetings in the hope that they will actually be able to get some business over there, even including input players and those things over there. So I think there's a lot of promise at of this area.
Right. Um, a, a related question, and I think I would ask this to all three of you, is like, how should these agripreneurs be organized by geography, legal form, or value chain?
See, I think, sorry, so if you allow me to
Yeah,
give a continuation of that. So, yeah, I think we should not have one straight-jacketed approach because, so yes, there are multiple ways of looking at it. In a geography, agripreneurs doing a homogeneous crop can come together as a big bargaining power, but there are entrepreneur dynamics also. So not everybody likes to come together and do work. Everybody would like to chart out their own path also. You can look at it from a complementarity of value chains also. So for example, say an a group of entrepreneurs doing red chili in Andhra Pradesh and maybe a group of entrepreneurs doing turmeric in Sangli can come together to make a spices basket. And maybe a group of entrepreneurs doing cumin and this thing in Rajasthan and North Gujarat can actually come together to make a spices basket. And then you're actually looking at a complementarity in terms of a combined over there. So I think it's just that we should definitely encourage over there. We should probably have multiple approaches and not straitjacketed as either you're a geographical combine or a value chain combine over there. Yeah, I will kind of
Yeah.
defer to Rajendra and
Yeah.
Rahul Singh
Yeah, yeah.
on the same.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree because I think it should be a combination of geography and crop. You know, for example, in Bihar, in corn producing geographies, we are doing this through our entrepreneurs, and they are doing the value chain approach quite successfully. More so about the market linkages rather than calling it a complete value chain. It's more of market linkages. Similarly, we are doing this for tea in Assam. Uh, so in the areas we are basically connected with all small tea grower farmers and in that particular geography. So that is where it is working. But yes, I mean it cannot be just as a rule. It will become difficult. But we have to identify opportunities where common crop is predominantly grown in the area where we have entrepreneurs or connected farmers, and they all could kind of come together, whether federate or not federate, but then they will have a bargaining power. So that's something which is definitely is my view as well. Yeah.
Rahul sir.
I agree to both of their views. Only with one, kind of additional dimension is, yes, agripreneurs should be given their own choices. Entrepreneurs are driven by their own choices and aspirations. They're mostly driven by their aspirations, and there has to be two more angle. Some of them will graduate to become small scale entrepreneur, bigger scale, and I have seen and observed that many of them have graduated to invest more, become big entrepreneur, and also some of them look for more accelerated mentoring and become more vibrant entrepreneur competing with any of us. So their space should be little larger than just confining to, yes, they are doing sectorally or geographically. Diversity open. We cannot right now give that kind of, oh, you have to be there here. Let them choose. And each state, if you look at various examples, particularly in animal husbandry sector, I know the animal husbandry, some of them are doing only pure basic things, but some of them have gone to advanced kind of thing, doing the whole chain of livestock management in agri entrepreneurship. So it is not pure agriculture. We have to also look at agri entrepreneurship in allied sector, livestock, fishery, and all kind of green entrepreneurship space.
Right. So I would stay with you, sir, and would like to understand like are how the cooperatives are reinventing themselves in this space. And uh, Feed has done a recent report on their marginal farmers' interaction with the cooperatives. What are some of the key findings when we look at from the enterprise point of view? How, as an enterprise, these organizations are delivering value to the community around which they work?
I'll give two dimensions. What has happened till last year and what is happening right now. If you look at the scenario of cooperative sector, yes, primary cooperative societies, PACs, the number is around 120,000 till December 2025 across the country, and few states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, they are the predominant states. And you go to the north side and northeast side, the numbers are less. Bihar, interestingly, Bihar features, I think, number 5, number 6 in terms of cooperatives. Interesting. And there, what has if you look at the you asked about the findings of the report, we found that by and large, marginal farmers, only 25%, 24%, around 25% are aware about their role, whether there is a cooperative thing, and they are aware about the kind of roles and responsibilities. So basically, the awareness part is only at 25%. Coming to the benefits that they have reaped or associated, another 25%. So you can 25% of 25% is the kind of scenario till 2025. What has happened over last 1 year is something very interesting. There are three directions which are when government has enlarged the scope of the cooperative sector, uh, and there is a plan to uh, have at least one cooperative in each panchayat. There are about 268 lakhs, 2.68 lakhs panchayats. So they want to only membership right now, say 120 packs. Uh, Maybe the number is like 200,000 kind of thing, but the number government is envisaging is huge. And we also put it to the Niti Ayog that this is not the direction. People are not aware. We made 8 recommendations, and 6 of them have been so much accepted by the Niti Aayog that yes, these are all things to be looked at. One of the things is creating awareness, how we are educating, trying to create awareness at the farmer level um, on cooperatives. So there are two. One is the number. Government has a plan. They have expanded the scope of cooperatives to include 23 activities. They can create a medicine shop. They can operate a kind of a CBG center. They can operate a petrol pump. They can all kinds of things were not there. If you purely go by this credit society and business. So now this has been expanded to 25, 23, 24 activities. Number three is they have also government. All these are government driven. Again, there is an apprehension. Government driven. They have created 4 multi-state cooperative societies for organic, for seed, for export, and the Sahakari taxi. There are 4 multi-state cooperative societies which have been formed. Whereas it is envisaged that if these packs, the panchayat level organizations will be linked, and most of them are now just started happening. The organic one has started happening. The seed one has started happening. Beside the fertilizer, IPCO, CRIPCO, all other things. Third dimension is government has set off the Sakari University. IRMA has been converted to Tribhuvan Das University, Cooperative, NCUI, NCDC, NEDAC. All these people are working now in this direction, but this is work in progress. I think it's in a very beginning stage to do comprehension about the gamut of activities. Now they are camping. Tribhuvan Das University professors are camping in various states, just creating awareness. But creation of awareness is not like a one-shot game. It has to continue for a while. So these are the two dimensions: the scenario till 2020, 24, 24, 25, and what is right now. But there is a bit of overlap and competition. What Ashutosh talked about, FPOs. Cooperatives are also considered as FPO format, technically, for companies and cooperatives. So there is a bit of not competition, but invisible competition is happening at the state level, at the micro level. How it will shape up in terms of looking at things in perspective. But
Right.
things have started happening in many part of the country. We have to watch how
Yeah.
it is progressing well or not.
So I would now like all of us to zoom out
Yeah.
and see at the larger canvas. Like if we are looking at the agriculture and agripreneurship, we look at the plans of 10,000 FPOs. We look at the plans of uh, bringing the model cooperative bylaws, which has to be adopted by the states and then those cooperatives as well. We look at the policies. So largely, the government becomes the major player here, and it
Yes.
tries to uh, bring some sort of like the massification of because it works at a scale. Let's develop 10,000 FPOs, and then in essence, what happens on ground is completely different. So I think what what at the larger scale, what at the I would say at the canvas scale, what should be painted, Ashutosh? How should we go about it from here?
So yeah, I know 10,000 FPO scheme is a pet peeve for a lot of people, and LinkedIn is really full of people telling you what is not working, but nobody really says that what can work, or nobody really has solutions. So I'm really, and this is my personal opinion, but I'm really not a big critic of that 10,000 FPO scheme, because I think what the government's job is to create a platform, and the government really can't enter into your lives and kind of handhold you to do each and everything over there. So I think what they did with the FPC Act was an attempt to kind of bring in a regulation that was more amenable to business. I will not say it's a job completely done, because we are seeing new challenges in terms of compliance, and maybe I'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, I think what it created was a platform. Similarly, with state governments starting with DPIP, and then other state governments promoting FPOs and 10,000 FPO scheme, you actually got a fillip to that entire FPO sector. Through this, they managed to get in, say, NABARD as a very big supporter for the FPO scheme. So there, I think. So I think so. Yeah, I think that was a good job done. It's not completely done. I think we probably need to now go beyond, to say that, okay, now I have so many FPOs there's over there. Can I now start handpicking the ones which are really successful? Can I have a kind of have a index or an indicator which says that this is what my qualifying criteria are? And then can I kind of start something like, say, accelerator programs? You have these accelerator programs for startups. So can I have accelerator programs for FPOs and collectives, maybe even entrepreneurs, uh, maybe even incubator programs, where somebody actually comes in and puts in seed funding over there. And can you create new lines of funding for these FPOs where, they say that, okay, if you're meeting this criteria, then we give you one level of seed funding to move to the next level, and kind of maybe build assets or build capabilities or get in good quality manpower. I mean, I remember when I was the head of an FPO, I was a fairly well-paid FPO compared to even, and this is I'm talking about is in 2009, vis-a-vis, say, FPO CEOs today who earn somewhere around 25,000 rupees per month. Now, because I was somebody who came from a corporate background, came into an FPO, had that level of education and a certain level of skills, I was able to raise funds for the FPOs. I was able, for that Chetna Organic, the FPO that I was heading, we were able to raise around 3.5 crores from multiple donors as a seed funding, because it was an FPO and we couldn't raise equity capital. We raised that as a now. Not many FPOs actually have that potential over there. So I think for ones who have shown certain potential, certain scale, can we also look at providing them with the skill level support,
Right.
either kind of giving them those funding support to get in a high quality manpower, or maybe creating programs for people to come in and do some kind of stints at volunteering stints at an FPO. We'll have to kind of put our heads together to do that. So that's that. Third thing I would say is that we probably need to start encouraging FPOs to come together as federations. So I think that's probably the uh, if you ask me, that is the FPO 2.0 that we need to look at, saying is that, one, how do you pick the best performing ones and take them to the next level so that they are really become the large entities which encompass geographies and communities. Second is, how do you pick up federations, and how do you create a supporting ecosystem for federations so that federations start becoming your route to reaching out to farmers and FPOs and collectives. And like Rahul sir was talking about the statistics with cooperatives. I mean, the FPO statistics also not very promising. I mean, a small fraction of people in the village actually know that there is an FPO still in our village, and a small fraction actually kind of transacts with the FPO and do that. So FPOs are not at the moment not seen as the dependable go-to entities beyond, say, a few expectations. So I think some of these things could actually help change the game for FPOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Surmani sir, what do you think about when we talk about FPOs and cooperatives,
Mhm.
in terms of what is actually the biggest gap there? Is it the market gap, the governance gap, or the ecosystem gap?
So it's a combination of the three factors that you mentioned. I'd go back to Ashutosh's version. As an optimist, I would say I will paint a picture first, and then I'll come to your questions. Um, I would say that the survival and the striking rate of the functioning of FPOs, be it cooperative or FPC, is fairly good. First, the reason is if comparable, because you have to have a comparison, benchmarking startups. What is the survival rate? In terms of small scale enterprise, what is the survival rate? 10, 10, 15, 20, not above 20. So if this is a similar kind of situation in case of FPOs, both cooperatives and FPCs. And in some of the wherever we have seen, and there are a lot of evaluations also I have personally done, good leadership has contributed significantly combined with the governance system. Well, when their performance is far, far better. Government interference on shareholding in cooperative is like a double-edged sword. More share capital you put, more interferences will bring, and that's why the transition from cooperative to FPC happened, but not technically it didn't happen. So the good business plan with the good CEO in the sense who can drive the real entrepreneur in the FPO format associated with all agripreneurs can drive the show, and we have good examples of such nature where there is a vision at governing body level, there is a vision at CEO level, and they are doing transactions. Same I'm citing again Asuta's example. In some incarnation like 3 years back, I did an evaluation of the 25 FPOs, and out of them 3 of them are, I think 2 or 3 of them are cooperatives. They operationally sustainable around 60-70%. They are operationally and financially sustainable. They don't depend on anyone else. They're accessing credit. Their leadership is quite strong. Their farmer engagement is also strong. Their access to finance is also happening. So they are running as an enterprise. So this enterprise approach brings the very functioning of the FPC cooperative or FPC much robust. So leadership, governance, and proper value chain. If you look at, then we have to look at which business they are in, what is the business portfolio, revenue stream. What the revenue stream is strong, then everybody takes interest. And I'm talking of the example during heavy COVID, they have done superb job. And right now they must be doing good job, I believe. So right value chain, governance system, leadership, farmer engagement can drive a good enterprise to this kind of situation. With regard to the functionality, I think 20% survival and good performance is a standard rate universally, including US. I tell you.
No, I
So
think
we
that's
are
an important point, sir. I guess like setting those realistic expectation when we look at the startups, out of 100, just one survives.
yes.
Why do we have such expectations from FPOs or the farmer bodies
Exactly.
to
So
have
I
like
am an optimist in this scenario. Whatever is happening, it is happening. And there are also second tier organizations. When I took look at the Telangana situation, the FPOs have already been federated. Kerala type, they have already formed like a productive alliance of 85 FPOs. So in various states which are driven again through a semi-government mechanism, there are two again evolving mechanism happening, like Gujarat or Madhya Bharat. They are so moto evolving, and there is also another government driven things. So there are new generation enterprising systems are evolving and emerging in this particular way. So I am quite optimistic about the
right.
drive in which it is moving right now, but there are challenges. Not we have to also recognize the challenges. Ashutosh talked about that. Rajendra Jogi also talked about that. Long way to drive, but survival rate is good, I would say.
Yeah.
So I would bring Rajendra sir here about. So there needs to be, I would say, like an ecosystem of enterprises also, which need to develop around these bodies to support them in
Correct.
their governance framework, in helping them in certain issues they are facing, in aggregations, and uh, building those small tech, which is important for them to navigate effectively. What's your observation around that? Is there that set of enterprise ecosystem developing around these bodies, or that's lacking?
Yeah. I mean, before I answer, I think I'll just like to share when we're talking about FPOs. Recently, we were interested in a project, Syngenta Foundation by NABARD. NABARD had promoted so many FPOs, I think few hundreds or thousand probably, I don't know, very large number. So they had given 40 out of them and asked us if we can accelerate their business. And they had taken, they had funding from NABARD, funding from World Bank, and they have bought equipment, and they were kind of not doing anything. Not balance sheet was not looking good at all, and hardly any activity was going on. So it was 1.5 hours, half years project, and out of 40 FPOs given to us, I think we could convert 33 of them in profitable business after 1.5 years because they needed smaller interventions. They had the basic infrastructure. Some of them had not paid some dues, and therefore nobody would lend them again. And that had to be brought to their notice that there is a smaller amount which you have to pay so that your CIBIL improves and you will again be eligible for. And some of them had never thought of having an input shop. So we connected them with some people who were interested in putting up an input shop in their premise, and they said, okay, that company said, we will bear all the investment. After 3 years, we'll hand it over to FPO, and FPO should run it. And for the time being, because we are putting a shop in their land, we will give them 30%, we'll keep 70%, and later on, they can completely take it over. So, some of those interventions really help. So, with clear, focused intervention with right people doing handholding for such FPOs, at least in the beginning, first 3, 4 years, having a good CEO or external agency, whatever way you want to do it, then there's a great chance that they will be sustainable going forward. So that was just observation because this project we just completed end of April, May, and we just writing a final report. So that was an interesting observation. When we to coming back to your question, I mean, if we want, whether we call it FPO or real agripreneurs, the ecosystem must support them through access to market, affordable finance, which is most critical, climate resilient technologies, storage and processing infrastructure, digital advisory systems, and some institutional partnerships. Those are the important areas, then it really helps them. And this is where I think the PECO philosophy becomes powerful, where you talk about partnership and entrepreneurship, citizenship and ownership. Because farm transformation cannot happen in silos, and that's linked. I mean, FPO or agri entrepreneurs, unless the farm transformation happens, all these things are add-on kind of support services to take it forward. In our own development experience, I think we have seen when the rural youth is trained as agri entrepreneurs, they become trusted last mile change agents. One capable agri entrepreneur can improve productivity, incomes, and resilience for thousands of smallholder farmers, and that is a multiplier effect which actually India needs. And finally, I would like to say that the future of agriculture is not merely farm to market; it is farm to enterprise. You know, that is what we should see. Farm to market is just one part of it. Farm to enterprise is something what is really necessary. And future farmer will not only grow food, but she will manage data, she will run businesses, she will build brands, she will restore ecosystems and create rural prosperity. That is the kind of holistic vision that I would like us to see for a farmer going forward.
Yeah. No, very true, sir. And yeah, I think farm to enterprise is like some sort of like a motto should be developed around it. I think I would now move to my last question, and I think I had kept it for the end because it's a little controversial also to talk about that nobody generally talks about is the person-driven systems around the FPOs, the packs, or other spaces. How can we move from uh, this person dependence? How do we basically, I mean, if the BOD is good, it moves ahead. If the BOD is not good, it's just stuck there. Nobody's moving. Shall we bring some sort of the financial incentives or other incentives for right set of people to come and lead these farmer enterprises, farmer bodies, farmer collectives? And it can be quite controversial because mostly it has been driven by the government and generally they don't promote such things. But I mean, if something is not surviving, something is not moving ahead, maybe something of that sort might help.
So, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so
like
I was
putting
just kind of wondering. I was wondering who was this question to. Yeah. So so I think, see, at the end of the day, we're talking about business, and business is going to be person driven. So let's be honest about this. That at the end of the day, somebody who comes it with his own kind of free will and interest and wants to do that will grow and prosper. Somebody who's probably forced it through either say peer pressure or some NGO standing at his doorstep saying "तुमको businessman बनना पड़ेगा," probably not going to be kind of successful. I also remember when I kind of moved into the agriculture sector from corporate sector. There was a lot of, I was part of this organization where we were promoting vermicompost. It was an organic
Yeah.
NGO. And what I realized was that you can train 1,000 farmers to create vermicompost. Maybe only 10 of them will actually create those vermicompost. The others are happy to buy it from those people who are creating vermicompost. So I think somewhere we need to look at an FPOs and cooperatives and collectives and entrepreneurs also as that, saying that instead of forcing everybody to become an entrepreneur, can we actually just look at those who are genuinely interested and then create support systems rather than an incentive system? I would say that create support systems for them to grow over there. So let's say an entrepreneur in say one district who kind of grows and grows from say a cluster of villages to cover an entire block and maybe then an entire district and then multiple districts, is probably bringing much more benefit to that local ecosystem than creating 10 entrepreneurs in those blocks and 9 of them failing. And as Rahulji was kind of saying earlier, I think we have a decent rate in FPOs. If you're looking at, I mean, the government of India, I mean, I remember the Honorable Minister of Agriculture in one of his addresses said that there is around 20 to 30% of the 10,000 FPO schemes is actually earning more than 1 crore rupees. I don't remember the exact statistic where it was 15% or 20%, but it was a substantial number. And to Ankush cite you were saying that 1 in 100 startups actually succeed. And then you actually have seen, even if I'm saying 10% of those 10,000 FPOs are actually doing kind of more than 1 crore rupees, you kind of crossed a psychological threshold. And then 10% of those 10,000 is 1,000 FPOs doing more than 1 crore business is actually a decent number. 1,000 crores of turnover getting generated at FPOs, which would otherwise have gone to some traders or some people in the city. So, that's actually a decent number.
Yeah.
Ankush, this thing, as you mentioned, is a controversial thing which has to be taken up with checks and balances, because it's if you look at leave it to the FPO and no entrepreneur. I would say I'm putting another word within this. Within the outfit, there are some people, those who are enterprising people, and they do perform better. And we, in my earlier incarnation in Technosoft, we did try out with the board of directors and couple of lead farmers as enterprising people for specific purpose on traceability, for entire chain management, blockchain, because this was a sustainable sourcing model, and the sourcing with the right kind of parameters, right kind of specification was not happening in a manner the corporate, the buyer wants. So here the incentivizing the right kind of enterprising people within the system worked well. With probably that is still working, because the volume hub, what I have heard, it has become a classic program on Guar. So it depends on which kind of product, what is the SOP for this. The organization has to define the SOP. Without that, everybody will say that I will earn some commission. Or that may be disastrous also. So with checks and balances, like in case of the livestock agri entrepreneurs I have seen in Bihar, again, it is working with the incentive. People sometimes earn 40,000, some people earn only 4,000 rupees. And basic, and the, the differential is given by the organization for the time being to promote them, like a भावांतर 8,000 मिनिमम चाहिए, 4,000 इनकम करे तो 4,000, लेकिन जब 40,000 इनकम कर रहे हैं आउट ऑफ द फीज, we recognize them, we incentivize through recognition, certification, blah blah blah. So that way the person feels that, oh, 40,000 is my target. So there are various models which are working. Incentivization of entrepreneur works well, subject to checks and balances. It should not massify. Everybody cannot be entrepreneur. I just said like an example on another program. Government interestingly has a program under the KVK, under the ICAR, what they call ARIA program. This is called attracting and retraining youth in agri entrepreneur. This is a discovery today by me also. So one can look at this, how the KVKs can play a role in the system and bring the revival of agri entrepreneurship through another mechanism, because government is the largest investor. I will take a pause here right now.
Yeah.
Rajendra sir.
Yeah. I think slight difference in the sense, I think there's not much of an option for a farmer other than having entrepreneurial thinking, because his very survival depends on it. Today's farmer, he operates in environment of climate uncertainty, volatile prices, rising input costs, and also changing consumer expectations. So survival itself now requires entrepreneurial thinking, and therefore, if we want sustainable growth, resilient food systems, and we are talking of inclusive development, then I don't see much of an option rather than moving from farmer as cultivator to farmer as entrepreneur. Because unless he does that, he cannot earn what he would expect minimum and grow year on year 10-20%, whatever. Doubling farmer income is a little far away, but at least 10-15% if he grows year on year, at least to beat inflation and improve his standard of living to an extent, that is the minimum expectation that is there. So no one size fits all, and then we won't be able to. The farming itself by nature is so uncertain that we will not be able to provide one SOP which will make them successful. Everybody follows that SOP and therefore they're going successful. That may not work. So it will have to be case to case basis, crop to crop. Agroclimatic zones and what geographies, what kind of people they are, what is their present lifestyle, all those factors come into play. Because when farmers become businessmen with purpose, for his limited requirement, then agriculture stops being a survival activity, purely survival activity, and it becomes a driver for dignity, innovation, and overall growth for the farming sector itself, and therefore national growth, of course. So that's my view on.
Thank you, sir. So we have a hard stop at 4:10, so I would probably wrap the session here.
Dr. Goel is here.
Yeah. We must hear him.
Yeah, we must hear him. 2 minutes.
Yes,
right now, still 2 minutes. You can.
Sir, are you listening to us? Yeah. Let me just highlight you.
Yeah. See, I think this 4:10 is the final. So I don't think we should be able to finish it. Ankush has a final words.
No, sir, please. I think you giving the final words would be the greatest thing for this.
Okay. I just say that farmers and farmers collectives are the part of a value chain which was never realized, and since they were disintegrated from that kind of a value chain, the rest of the players have always been called entrepreneurs. And this is only agri entrepreneurs. When we talk of farmers and farmers collectives, as if that they were not supposed to be entrepreneurs. So what Mr. Jog was saying that agriculture is the biggest entrepreneurship and the highest risk-taking proposition. So they have to be entrepreneurs and collectives. One thing which was not realized in the beginning, everyone thought that rest of the players in the value chain are exploiters. And these two sections are the exploited. And let us get disengaged from them and manage the whole value chain. Probably that was the biggest mistake when we brought in FPOs. FPOs were not supposed to replace all other parts of the value chain, but they were supposed to stand firmly within that value chain as a strong player. So if as an individual I am weak, but as a collective, I can withstand them, whether I am sugarcane farmers within sugar factory, whether we are the milk growers in case of cooperatives like Amul, and so on. There are hundreds and thousands of examples where there can be partnership. So only one point I would like to say, and that is something which co-own the change. That is your platform.
Yeah.
Is that for next 5 years, we should develop all kinds of multiple partnership models. I can manage the entire value chain. That is one model, obviously, from growing till marketing. But I can be connected to a processor. That is another model. I can be connected to an exporter, like in case of grapes. Or I could be connected to an organized retailer. That is one. And while I am getting connected, there is a fair amount of fairness in all the players. So my strength has been enough when I am getting connected to answer to those leftists who keep on saying the moment you go for partnership, you will be exploited. I am saying it's not correct. And a strong partnership is the way ahead. And next 5 years probably will bring the bouquet of partnership models. And that is something probably I would request Ankush, your platform to lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so
And
much.
really, really important part to bring partnerships and ecosystem to support these enterprises. So we would be starting with a new session on the same link here. Anybody who is interested in becoming part of it are we would be more than happy for you to stay back. But with this, we are closing this session, and thank you so much, Sudhi sir,
Thank you.
Rajendra sir, Surimani sir, Ashutosh for participating in this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank